Hey, hi friends, welcome to today's video. So in this video we are going to build the onboarding screen for our app. Okay, so for that let me create few folder here first. Let's first create all the classes. Okay, so what I have done, I have created a model. Now what are the properties of that model? We are going to write it in a while. And then onboarding view, which is empty, but we are going to create a struct here, confirm to view protocol, and then it will implement the body. Okay, let's say for example it has a v stack, so let me import SwiftUI here and then a v stack. Okay, with a text. Okay, so now our view is ready, and then we have this view model. Okay, so this view model object we are going to create inside our view. So it is created here, observe object, where view model equals to this view model. Okay, now we have to think about first thing, data. Now in the onboarding screen I'm going to display a image, a text, and a detail. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I already have a JSON file which actually I have to show, so I'll just bring that JSON file directly here. Okay, so I'll create a folder here, for example utils, and drop it here. Okay, now if you see inside this, what I have uh, basically I have 1 2 3 4 screen, and in image I have onboarding image 1, title onboarding title 1, detail onboarding detail 1, and then similarly to just to differentiate that, okay, I'm going to read these different data. Okay, so let's now bring these images also here. So okay, so I have onboarding image 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, after that we also need to have this text, right? Now for that, in the previous video we already have done enough on the localization part, so here I'll bring those text which we have to use here. So let me just copy and paste my text, and here we go. Okay, so we have next button, skip button, get started button, and these are title, 4 title, and these are 4 text. Okay, and the same thing goes for our Hindi also. Let me copy the Hindi one also, and here we go for the Hindi. Okay, let's here also give onboarding. Okay, so now from this JSON, first we need to create our model. Okay, and if you see this model, this has image, title, and detail. Okay, so we can go back to our UI here, and this struct will basically have image, a string type, then title, again a string type, and then detail, again a string type. Okay, now we have to read the data from JSON to the and convert that data to a proper model class. Okay, so for that let's create a JSON reader. Okay, and let's create as a utility so that it can be reused multiple places throughout your project. And again, while creating, and when we talk about reusability, that means that our function should be like that it accepts file name, and then it returns you a generic object, so that in this case I want to to have an onboarding model object, so it will be onboarding model type. If in your case it is any other type, it should work with that particular object as well. Okay, so here new file, let me create here as local JSON loader. Okay, and what will the function of this class? To read the JSON and then return the object to you. Okay, now let's write a function inside this. So function load, and again this you can confirm is to codable also, but anyway I'm not going to encode it in this case, so we can just write decodable type. Okay, and then what it's going to take as a parameter, it's going to take as a file name, which is going to be a string type, and then we also need to accept the type, that which type you want to convert. So I'm just call it as t dot type. Okay, and then again it's going to return a t type, a generic type, and again if something goes wrong, it will return you nil. If you want, you can also handle the error scenario, but I'm just returning nil here. Okay, then what you have to do, first thing is that read the URL. So let URL equals to bundle.main.url, and resource is going to be the file name. Okay, and extension, as we are writing it just for the JSON, so it's going to be hard coded with JSON. Okay, else we can simple return nil. Okay, that means if by mistake we send a file name which doesn't exist, then we don't need to return any value, we can just return nil. Okay, in the else scenario we have to perform basically a do catch block and convert and read that data from this URL and then convert it to object. Okay, so let data equals to try, then data from or contents of, basically, so data contents of, and we have to pass this URL. Okay, and we can return decoder dot decode, and the type will be here again t, and from data will be your data. Okay, catch, we can catch the error. For time being I'm just printing it. If you want, you can also return the error in the case if you want to show a specific error to the user. Okay, so or we have the logger, so we can also use logger, but let's do that in the next video. So here I have the errors, I can just use print to print that. Okay, and in this case basically I have to return a nil. Okay, so now this function looks nice to me. Now this model that we have created, this also has to conform to decodable protocol. Okay, now next go to the view model, and here what we can do, we can write published property, you can call it as onboarding data, and this is going to be of type onboarding data model. Okay, and then in the init method what we can do, we can just call the load function to load this onboarding data. Okay, load onboarding data, and now we need an instance of that local JSON loader. Okay, and here we can create object of this private lit local JSON loader, and I can create an object of this. Okay, I'm not using any sort of dependency injection here, because in most of the time, even if when you are writing the test cases, you're in this scenario, you will always read from the local JSON, so you always need this object only. You will not need any service or any local, or you don't want to differentiate between these two. Okay, and then use this to read it. So let me read the object now. We will have the data after this. Now we have to load this data to our view. Okay, now let's start creating the view. So the view which I'm going to create, let me show that view to you. So the view will look something like this. So you have a image, you have the title, and then you have the description, and then you have two button, skip next, and then you also have this loader. Like when you scroll this page indicator will move to the next. Okay, so let's try to create this view. Okay, so now as you can see here that this view, like this skip and next button, these are not moving, this view is moving. And so what we can do, that we can take our root which is here as a G stack. Okay, so let me so is there any error? No error. Okay, so now the tab view is done. Then next, after this tab view, we have to set few things, that is the tab view style. So here the tab view style is going to be tab view style is going to be paste tab view style, and then yeah, that's all. So we have not written actually the code to load this onboarding view, so let's first write that. Okay, so what we can do, we can go back to our main view, which is Bhagavad Gita app, and from here we are loading this content view. So what we can do, we can write see anything, right? This definitely the onboarding screen is loading, but it is not showing any data. So let's see, at least I was expecting that it should show me the text, right? Where we are going wrong, let's go to here, and okay, we are not calling this function. Okay, let it run again, and this time you see we have 0 and we have 1 2 3, right? So this tab is working perfectly fine. Okay, now let's bring back other thing. Okay, so let me write the code for that, and then we'll again see how what actually we are doing. Okay, so if you see here what I'm doing here, that we have this page control which is conforming to UI view representable, so that we can use it from the SwiftUI, and inside that, in the make UI view, we are again using the same UI page control, and then define the number of pages, page indicators, whatever the thing we have, tint color, And then okay, let me import UI kit and also import SwiftUI here. Once whenever the no we are updating the no changing the pages from there, see based on the current page and number of pages, everything will be updated here. So this number of pages is basically coming from when we initiate this page control, we are passing two things. One is the binding property, that means the current page will keep changing when you do left and right, you are changing the page, right? But the number of pages is not binding, it's just a var, because when you load this tab you will always be knowing that what is the total number of pages, like the number of pages is not going to be dynamic, and that's the reason that this is not a binding property. Okay. Okay, and the next thing is the coordinator. Now if you see here again, we are using this current page here, and this current page value is wrapped with this binding property, so that whenever the value is changing, it is reflecting in your view. Okay, now we are going to use the same page control into our main view to load the UI. Okay, so let me go back to the onboarding view and use this one. Now to use this, what we are going to do, we are first going to create a property for this. So let me come here, and what we can do, we can create a view builder property here. So we are good with this, and then we have to use this control bar inside our main view. Okay, so let me go here, and after this tab view, so after this yeah, after this tab view, we can load it. So v stack, and inside that we'll have again a spacer, and then we will have one more spacer, and this spacer is going to have a frame, because I want to give the height to my below spacer, so that how much space you want to leave from the bottom. So I'll give this height, for example, uh, let's say 100 only. Okay, so it will, so this spacer will leave the space from the top, this will leave from the bottom, and between that I will have my control bar. Okay, if you want you can leave the padding also, not necessary. Okay, now let it run again, and this time I should see my what do you call UI page control, and whenever I move my screen according to that, it should uh, change the value. Okay, so let it run. You can see this, I'm changing, this is also changing. So if you're moving back, this is also moving back. Okay, this is working perfectly fine. Let me remove few of the error that we got it here. Okay, now this is done. Now we also need to have this previous and the next button here. Okay, so what we can do, uh, after this, actually after this we have to add it, right? So after this there should be some space, and then there should be this buttons. Okay, so I can add, for example, a spacer here of let's say height uh, 60, and then let me reduce this to 40, because now I don't want to leave 100 first and then add my next and skip button. So I'm just leaving 40 space here. Then next and no, previous button will be there. Then again a 60 space, and then this control bar will be there. Okay. So here now you have to write the code. This is all again coming from the your SwiftLint warning messages. So we have skip, we have next. Okay, I missed the spacer, so there should be a spacer in between both the button. Okay, so button, then spacer, then button. Anything else? Skip, next. Both are looking good. The space is also looking good, and the space is also looking good. Okay, uh, let me run it once more. Yeah, skip and then next. Right now I have not given any action, so it's fine. But now what should be the action of the next button? So next button basically will take you to the next page. So let's go to the next button. Then here is the skip, and here is the next button. So here I can write current index plus equals to 1. So whenever you press the next button, it will take you to the it will increase you the current index, and then it will take you to the next page. Okay, and whenever you press the skip button, what should happen basically that it should take you to the last page of your onboarding screen, because from there your actual app flow will start. So here what I will do, I'll write current index equals to view model dot onboarding data dot count -1. Okay, now let's run it again. So you see next 1 2 3 scroll, and if I skip, it's again going to third, that means the last one. Okay, so both the button actions are also working fine. Okay, now when the user reaches to the last onboarding screen, then I don't want this skip and next. There I want to display something like a get started thing. Okay, so what I can do here is, but we have to show the get started, and this text also has to change to onboarding get started. Okay, so once this is shown, once it reaches to the last index, this page will be shown. Okay, now one more thing which you have to see, that in this case the button should look till like right now if you see, the button is looking the same as the size of your text, but this time I have to look this button bigger so that it takes the whole width space. Okay, so what I can do, I can set first of all, this foreground color is white in this case as per the UI, and then there is a background color which is orange. Okay, then we have to set the frame, which is to max width, that is infinity. Okay, we can also set a fixed height so that it looks good. So height maybe 40, and maybe a little bit of corner radius. Okay, will be deprecated future use. Okay, for the time being we can use it. Okay, and let's see how it looks now. So next, and now we have get started. But if you see, this is not taking the full frame as it was expected to take. So what I'm missing basically here is, if you see in this case, this frame is not taking up to the exact size. Okay, so what we can do, let's first set the background to button. I'm not sure whether this background is taking the whole space, so I'm just removing the background from here and setting it to the button level. So let me run it again. And if I skip, yeah, now if you see the get started button is looking nice. Okay, so now we are done with the buttons part and this page part. Now time to draw the UI. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll create one more view, and here let me open the screen once more. So if you see here, we have some space, then the image, then the nice title and the description. Okay, so let's first leave some space here. So I'll use a spacer, and let's take a height, and let's leave some space. Let's say that I leave 80. Okay, now you have to take a image, and image will come from onboarding model dot image. Okay, this will be resizable based on your screen size. Then you have to set to scale to fit, so that it fit according to the scale available. And then we can also give some if scale effect for the animation part. Okay, so let's say that we have to give a scale effect. For that I have to take a variable, for example the rate state private where is animating. So we can make this value by default as false, and then what we can do is scale effect. If it is animating, then let's set it to 1.0, otherwise let's set to 0.5. Okay, so now done with the image. Then the next thing come will be text, and text we have to load localize, so that based on whether the language is English or Hindi, it loads that particular text. Okay, so for that we have a very beautiful way in SwiftUI, that is localized string key. Localized string key, yeah, and then the value will be your onboarding model dot title. Okay, and now you can set some property like font. This case I don't want it to be heavy, let's keep it as simple. We can call it as sub headline. Okay, or yeah, or let's set it to title 3. Now this one will be gray, so gray, yeah. Now we are all good with this, and after that if I have some space, then let's it occupied by your spacer. Okay, then we have to set this animating property that we have used here, so we'll use dot on appear here. And what we have to do, we have to do a simple thing, that we'll use this with animation, that is this one, and this is ease out. We can use, we can give duration, that is 0.5. okay, and all these things we can just delete it, and here we can make that variable as true. Okay, so that's all about onboarding into your view. Now let's go back to onboarding view and replace this with your actual model. So here we have to pass onboarding model. We don't need to pass is animating, and this model will come from here. Okay, looks good. Let's run the app. Oh, that's fantastic. So now let's move to next, next, and next. Looks great. Okay, so what we can do, we can also taste one time in Hindi. Let me change the language and see if my localization is working perfectly or not. Again, and now you can see that everything has perfectly converted to the Hindi text. Okay, so that's all for today's video. In the next video we are going to work on the get started thing, like from here how to go inside the app, and then the future of this application. We'll try to finish as soon as possible this series. Sorry for the delay, I was away from the YouTube from the last 8 months. So if you have not subscribed the channel, then do subscribe for more and more videos. Thanks for watching. Thank you.